How many of you here are familiar with HubSpot Academy? Raise your hands. Yay! Oh, that's wonderful. Well, hopefully it's fun to see me, I guess, if you're familiar with the Sales Hub certification. But anyway, so HubSpot Academy, our vision is to power a global learning community through content, experiences, and credentials so that we drive adoption, maximize your career potential, and scale HubSpot capabilities up market. And for those of you that are not familiar, we are a free service within HubSpot. We offer lessons and short videos and courses and certifications on everything you could possibly want to know about HubSpot just to empower you all to get better. I strongly encourage you, if you haven't seen it, certainly check it out. Happy to talk more about it if you want to find me after, too. All right, let's just do a quick pulse check here. So show of hands and leave them up if some of these things apply to you multiple times. How many of you feel like you're struggling, or your reps are struggling, with identifying good quality leads? That's a lot of hands. How about stalled deals? Seeing patterns, ineffective sales meetings? And how about just too much time on admin work? If not everyone raises their hand on this last one, I'm not sure what's going on. You got to tell me how your sales strategies are going. Okay, so I want to take us back a little bit. For those of you that are familiar or went to Inbound or maybe watched Yamini's presentation, I just want to call out a couple things. So she was talking back about an experience of bringing her son to college and asked the question, what should I learn if I want a great future? And what I really liked about this specifically is for sales, it's really critical to stay ahead and be informed as kind of consultants or ambassadors of your product or service in order to build trust, rapport, and ultimately close a deal. So what I think about in this way is, how do we do that now with AI? We grew very accustomed to how we might solve for some of those things before, but now we have AI in the fold, and it's certainly scaling things in a different way. And we're trying to now further ask ourselves, what is my role in sales, and what is AI's role in sales? And so what we ultimately boiled this down to is this moment is not just about human productivity. It's about human connection. And I think hopefully many of you would agree, if you've been in sales before, that human connection is really what can sell a lot of the deals. It is about being likable, having your product be perfect for that customer, and solving for them in the moment. So it's not about what we do, but why we do it and how we connect with our customers. So we want to connect with more customers, but we're stuck doing a lot of that admin work as we established, right? We have stalling deals, we have hard to find good leads, we have inefficient meetings, and now we're trying to solve for what HubSpot like to call the sales time trap. Lots of things on here, probably familiar to you. All of these things competing for your time. I don't know. When I was in sales and doing this, I would say that manual research or meeting prep could take me anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes before and or after those meetings. Data entry, same thing. Email writing, we've improved from templates in a couple different ways we'll talk about. But even then, when we're using templates, we were using personalization tokens. Everything was only like customized just so much, right? Note-taking. Note-taking, extremely difficult to do, especially if you're in meetings and you're trying to listen and be responsive with the customer in the moment. Pipeline updates and call reviews, again, taking lots of time out of your sales rep's day. So we're going to talk about three different solutions today. We're going to talk about the Breeze Assistant, which accelerates your sales process from an AI-powered assistant that works alongside you right where you need it. We're going to talk about the Breeze Prospecting Agent that transforms your CRM into an intelligent prospecting engine. And we're going to talk about sales meetings, which turns every conversation into your competitive advantage. So let's first kick it off with the Breeze Assistant. Sales reps can immediately use Breeze Assistant to prepare for meetings, update contact records, draft emails, and get summaries of calls, deals, and companies. As they become more comfortable, you can use even custom prompts to discover new companies, analyze deals, and more. So what you see up on the screen here is just suggestions about where you can start with some of these types of prompts. So thinking about from an initial value perspective of just adding tasks for things or adding new companies for things, Breeze Assistant just can do that for you automatically a lot faster than a human could. You can also use the prompt library to summarize things like your calls, deals, meetings, etc. Take advantage of all that unstructured data that we have. And then entering in your own prompts and creating new properties even from some of these if that's what's helpful for you based on the information that you're seeking out. So I have a quick video here. This one has audio, the remaining do not. So about a minute just to kind of show you some overview of what some of the things that Breeze Assistant can do, and we'll talk more about it.
Meet Breeze Assistant, your AI companion that knows your business and delivers the help you need right when you need it. It instantly helps with meeting prep, content creation, and strategic analysis, all powered by your actual CRM data and business context. With file upload, web search, and connections to Google Workspace, Microsoft Office, and Slack, plus its own mobile app, you get AI help wherever you work, all integrated within HubSpot. Need specialized expertise? Create custom assistants trained on your specific processes and knowledge. Turn documents, playbooks, and company knowledge into specialized AI assistants that provide expert guidance to your entire team. From marketing strategies to sales enablement, custom assistants learn from what works and share it with your whole team. Access both Breeze Assistant and your custom assistants from one unified interface within HubSpot. No switching between tools. Give every team member an AI assistant that knows your business inside and out. Experience Breeze Assistant today.
So a couple things that we heard in that video there. We talked about the Breeze Assistant can do some meeting prep for you, some content creation, strategic analysis, lots more. And it's integrated with Google Workspace, Microsoft Office, and Slack. Deal desks, I think that some of you might be familiar with like digital sales rooms too. I think that like using something like this is probably a really good foresight into what some of that might look like. So for example, if you're not familiar, it's spaces where you're able to create for your customers kind of a question and answer place, places where they can see their quotes, any of their company and customer history. And if you start to think about how AI could start to help you from a feedback perspective with that, thinking about what questions might my customer be asking, so that I can sort of prep my reps to be ahead of that question before it's even asked. All right, but really quickly, I want to back up just a quick moment here. And so there's agents versus assistants. So this is on our knowledge base too, so please feel free to visit if you can't take a screenshot or a picture for it right over using now. That's fine. But if you want to learn more, let's just talk through really quickly. So from an agent perspective, it will automate tasks, perform actions in your HubSpot account, versus an assistant is using information in your HubSpot account that you have uploaded for your own questions and other documentation for your HubSpot users. The speed of agents is a little bit slower due to the complexity and the extended thinking. And then assistant is much more faster, again, because it has all of the contained data that you've given it. Agents are used in Breeze Studio, and the assistant is Breeze Assistant. So some examples of this, you might ask an agent to generate a detailed lead analysis report, versus an assistant might be asking to answer some new employee questions with some provided documentation, or like we said with examples of pretending it's a sales manager or helping internalize the process that way too. Okay, that's Breeze Assistant. I'm going to switch gears a little bit, talk about why I think manual prospecting is killing pipeline. So I think here you might be spending hours of research with inconsistent results. You might have generic outreach that often gets ignored or deleted. You might have missed opportunities because you can't scale some of that personalized prospecting that you're looking to. Some inconsistent lead quality across your sales team. So how do we basically align what we're looking for from our ICP? And then this is obviously a big one. Reps spending 60+% or more of their time on admin work. I did a research again on this last week, and with the help of Anthropic and Claude, I was told that that's actually gone up, that it's actually closer to 70 to 75%. So introducing. This came out last year in beta. If you haven't used it, we're going to talk a little bit about it, both what it was doing before and what has evolved since then. But if you're not familiar, the prospecting agent is here to transform every rep into a top performer with AI that knows when to reach out, what to say, and how to say it. So there has been some evolution to this. We originally went from a more rigid sequence to a much more adaptive intelligence since launching this last year. The prospecting agent was already doing amazing things, and it's certainly a powerhouse for research, digging deep into finding all those research and relevant insights for the company or the contact. It creates personalized emails based on that research, and those were sent out in a structured sequence. So before, we had a fixed schedule. All these emails that were being sent out, it was actually 3 specifically, were sent out 2 days apart. And that's how it was engaging with reps. So it was a lot closer to like a sequence setup that we have. The consistency is the same timing for everybody. So it wasn't based on any signals necessarily. It was purely just, we will send it at this time. That's when you can expect it. And it was much more limited context. It was basic research without those real-time signals. And then perhaps maybe the biggest problem, and I'm glad that you're all here to experience this, those emails were only available in English. We had to have workarounds with Breeze Copilot, or Copilot at the time, Breeze Assistant now, where we'd have to do localization or translation live. which was certainly not the workaround that we wanted at the time. But the good news is that a lot of these things have since evolved. So here's where we're at with the prospecting agent now. This is what was launched at Inbound just 2 months ago. It is in public beta. If you have professional or enterprise, I certainly encourage you to test it out and pilot it. I'll walk through what that experience is like in a moment. But a few things to know. So this is using much more natural language control. So you can give the agent simple instructions in plain language, giving you more control over that research and outreach. There's actually a place now you can actually add your own custom instructions. So on top of what the research is already doing on your website, you can also add some additional prompts in there to get a little bit more curated. There's continuous monitoring for anything like buying signals, so these things like leadership changes, funding rounds, or engagement spikes to the website. It's using smart and adaptive research. So there's no more rigid 3-mail email sequences. It's now creating and sending one email at the right moment, and then we'll continue to monitor to decide when to reach out again with additional personalized messaging. And the big one, multi-language support. There's now over 200 plus languages available for Prospecting Agent. So here we are on our homepage. I'm going to go over to Sales and then to our Prospecting Agent. This is what it will look like if you've not set up an agent before. So you click on Setup Agent. It's going to analyze from your own website. You can choose elements of your website, and I'll explain why maybe in a moment. It'll take a moment to review the website, analyze all of that content, and then it will spit out who it thinks you are selling to, what your kind of mission statement is, who your ideal customer profile could be, and then all of this is editable. So you can change what you feel like in here isn't really set based on the research that it did. Then you're going to select the identity of where this is coming from. You can set it to your contact owner with a fallback contact inbox, or you can set it to just a general inbox. You'll have a call to action, typically to set a next meeting, but it can also be if you want to bring them to a document or a different landing page. And then from there, we'll decide our outreach. So there's two different ways, kind of a semi-autonomous or an automatic approach here. And I'll talk about tone too, because it's going to go pretty fast. But the email approval part of things there is choosing between if you want the opportunity to review the emails before they're sent. So what it will do is the prospecting agent will do its research, and it will say, hey, we've generated some of these emails for you. You read them first, make your edits, and then send it when you're ready. This is obviously a really good way to pilot this from the get-go. I wouldn't recommend starting from send automatically right from the start. I would say pilot it, test it, see how it feels, and then once you're at a really good place with it, start automatically. I do know companies that are doing that now and have very great success, which is nice. The other things that we saw as we're wrapping up there, so there's tonality that you can change. So you can kind of go between the optimistic, witty, professional. I'm forgetting the other two there. But the more important one being that if you're using Marketing Hub's brand voice, you can also use your brand voice for the prospecting agent. Now, I also mentioned, before we get into the enrollments part of this, that you can create multiple selling agents, and you could use different elements of your website. The reason you might consider this is because if you have different products or services, you can set up selling agents for each of those. So they can be much more curated to that product or service for the customer you're trying to reach. Now, I've been asked before, should I have different selling profiles for each seller? I wouldn't recommend it that way. I would say that each seller should be using the selling profile that you've set up for that product or service. Okay, so we're going to go to the ready for review and the enrollments. So you can do manual or automatic enrollments. Automatic enrollments can also be done via workflows, pro tip. This is what an email will look like. So it's telling us this is the initial email and the second email. We can take a look here and edit them. Breeze Assistant will allow us to refine, rewrite, shorten, summarize, or change the tone. And then once we're ready, we just send the email. But from there, you can also take a look at the research evidence. So if you want to see what the prospect agent did, to basically identify, hey, this is what I found out about the company. Here's what you'd want to know about it. And send the email. But I do have some voice of the customers here, just some quotes, some success stories to hear from using the prospecting agent. I'll read through these here for you. So the impact of the prospecting agent has been remarkable. It's crafting emails that outperform some of our US-based BDRs in quality and engagement. What makes it exceptional is its ability to scan contact information and generate truly contextual, customized outreach that resonates with prospects. It doesn't just save time, it's elevating the quality of our initial touch points with potential customers. To say that it's doing better than a lot of those BDRs, I think sets a pretty high bar for those BDRs. There's definitely no way that I could do this level of personalization for this many people in this amount of time. It would have taken me probably months and months if I wrote that same caliber of email over and over. What used to take 4 or 5 hours now takes minutes, especially once you use the tool, you start to trust it more. Again, go from semi-autonomous to the automatic sends. I'm excited because you've given me something I've wanted that's needed for this business for 20 years, but no one's been able to deliver. And this is the opportunity for true growth and scalability. So this tool is ideal for you if you feel like that you are spending 15 to 30 minutes manual researching prospect before outreach. That has to be most of us. That was me, for sure. It takes you too much time to craft personalized emails for every prospect. Maybe you're struggling to get the attention of the prospects at the right time. So again, this way it knows when the customer is visiting your website, so it knows when to then send that email. Just want to speed up your flywheel, or now your loop. And you want sellers spending more time connecting with prospects. That's the prospecting agent. So let's talk about the third thing we mentioned, which I think that deals are slow because meetings are inconsistent. We have forgotten action items from important sales calls. We have delayed follow-up due to manual note-taking and updating the CRM. Taking notes by hand takes a lot of time. Important details can get lost, and it's really hard to keep track of all your tasks and the follow-ups, which obviously leads to delays, potentially missed opportunities. So without a clear system, it's really hard for leadership to find the real estate within the pipeline, causing more problems with communication and tracking. And let's be honest, it is, as I mentioned before, really hard to keep conversation while also taking notes and making sure that that customer feels like they're being heard in the moment. Fortunately, much better way to do it now. So sales meetings are a comprehensive solution that changes the way we handle sales conversations from all the way from the beginning of the prep, middle, during the call, and through follow-up. It's going to use AI to take care of a lot of that admin work for you, so you can focus exclusively on the customer interaction. So imagine having instant context before your meeting, automatic note-taking during the call, and all the quick insights that you would want to have afterwards all in one place. So again, turning every conversation into a true valuable asset to be able to reference back to and capture all those important details that might potentially normally get lost. Some use cases from here, both for sales reps, sales managers, and ops teams. Sales reps get a powerful tool that brings together insights from all their interactions with relevant context. Again, allows them to focus on those conversations. It will transcribe and summarize a lot of those notes for you and generate some of those next steps automatically. For managers, you're getting clear visibility, so you can see real-time conversation dynamics. You can identify coaching opportunities. You can track terms. You can go and read through an entire transcript or listen to the call, all without having to use manual reports. And then for ops teams, no tech overload, no complex integrations, make the tech stack a lot smaller, no long implementations, just a built-in functionality that works right away and provides all that unified data across the whole sales process. So here's what that journey looks like. So for the sales reps, before the meeting, AI will take about 30 minutes of the manual research that they would normally be doing into like 30 seconds of insights. So they'll find relevant context, they're going to look at recent activities, they're going to look at the website hits, they're going to find talking points, and they're going to do all of this based on the data that you have in your CRM, and then right away, and I'll show you in a moment, what that will look like, just how it, right before you start the meeting, you'll be able to see what are some risks and pain points, what are some of the things that we should be focusing on? Who is here with us in the meeting? Maybe did someone not confirm and you want to actually go back and check with them? Then, during the meeting, reps can stay fully present, engage with the customer while AI does all of the note-taking for you. Note-taking and transcription. So they'll find not only the full transcript, they'll record the whole thing for you, but you'll also be able to say that they have identified what they feel like that the customer is struggling with too. Then after the meeting, you'll get these instant AI summaries, clear next steps, and those action items that are pulled straight from the conversation. So again, no more forgotten commitments, no more manual CRM updates, just a faster path to moving deals forward. All right, so let's take a little video of what this might look like. First, I'm going to show you what it looks like to go through the sales workspace and actually access one of these prepared meetings. So I'm going to go over to sales. I'm going to work in the sales workspace. Open up schedule. I have a follow-up here. I don't know if anyone watches Severance and maybe Cold Harmers, getting some people here, Harmony, Cobell. So I click on that, and actually I can see here's my meeting details, the internal notes that we have, pain points, web visits, any recent activity or any other associated deals with this. Then when I'm ready to join the meeting, I click Join Meeting. I can access the Invite Sales Meeting Note Taker. We'll join as HubSpot's note taker. When the call is done, here's our transcript. I have a transcript. I have a summary of our meeting notes. And furthermore, if you're using like conversation intelligence, might look familiar to you, where you can actually grab segments of these calls and you can provide feedback to the rep, or you could actually set it up as a coaching playlist as well. So this, being sales meetings, is certainly ideal for you if you are spending 15 to 30 minutes manually preparing for each call. Again, something I for sure was doing. I definitely spent at least 15 to 30 minutes before every call and after every single call debriefing. Now all of that is just washed away. You're currently using maybe external conversation intelligence tools. You want to, again, consolidate that tech stack. Maybe you're struggling with inconsistent post-meeting follow-ups. That'll really stall a lot of your deals. Not knowing what those next steps might be, and then just needing better visibility into the sales conversations. Okay, let's talk about the things that you might want to be monitoring and where some next steps might be going before we kind of bring ourselves back and get into why we talk about the AI piece of this. So, some key metrics to observe. You want to be looking at the volume of the qualified leads and how that is creating new deals. So do you have not only more leads, more valuable leads that fit better into your ICP, but then those deals, and then perhaps the size and value of those deals. If you have a better ICP and you have a better setup when you're preparing for those calls, you could probably ask better questions of the customer and maybe find a bigger opportunity. And then this last one's a big one for me, at least. This is how I operated quite a bit with when I had my sales manager and then when I was teaching sales reps as well. The number of meetings that you have can absolutely lead to more deals. You just need to be really focusing on those conversations and, again, preparing for them, debriefing them, and making sure that you have consistent follow-up with those customers. But the more of those that you do, definitely the more deals you'll generate. So, things to be looking for in your reporting. Review your pipeline settings. It sounds like an obvious one. I really feel like that there's an opportunity probably on a semi-annual, if not annual basis, to start reviewing, again, what your pipeline is like and notice where your deals are stalling within stages and identify, well, where is that gap in knowledge and how do we change that with a playbook or with AI, with a Breeze Assistant. Set up different prospecting agent selling profiles. Again, so if you have multiple products or services, test these out in different ways. Test them out on different elements on your website. I think in the example that we had there, we separated out the HubSpot.com analysis versus a knowledge-based one. That might attract different customers. So why might thinking about who you're trying to gravitate towards or capture in the websites that you're putting in for your selling profile. Building dashboards. This is relatively new. If you're familiar with Sales Workspace, you can actually now have dashboards right across the tabs at the top. So you can build dashboards and have that reporting immediately accessible for managers, for sales reps, and just see it all in one place. And then conversation intelligence. As I mentioned, you can take these segments from those sales meetings and turn them into conversation intelligence by collecting parts of the segmented data, sharing it with a rep, providing feedback, or sharing it with a team and providing strong feedback. All right, so let's bring it back. We started this whole conversation talking about Yamini's thoughts with school and what might be ahead. So what ahead is certainly smarter, it's faster, it'll be more human. Their slide originally said, let's make marketing fun again. Let's make sales fun again. Sales can be fun when we're winning. We just need to win. That's what makes sales fun, especially for reps. But I think that, at least from my experience too, I think a lot about how something like these tools in AI will alleviate the ability to have a deeper customer conversation, which will also certainly open up more opportunities. Anyway, this is all to say that this is our moment to really rethink how we're going to grow as companies, as individuals, and how we're also going to be using and leveraging AI in this space. And HubSpot's with you for the journey. So back to this. What is our role? And what is AI's role in all of this? For us in sales, our role is to lead with trust, strategy, and human connection. That last one I cannot stress enough. And AI's role, speed, scale, and execution. So in short, humans lead, AI accelerates. That's the partnership. It's that powerful, it's that transformative. Before we get into a Q&A, again, as I mentioned, if you're not familiar with HubSpot Academy, please go and take a look at things there. Again, completely free resources for you. And then that's my LinkedIn if you want to be friends and talk and say hi. please do. All right, we have about 13 minutes, which is great, to do a little bit of Q&A.
Yes. So, sales meetings and the support for different languages, what's the plan?
For sales meetings,
Yeah.
it's a not now, but not a not never.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's still being built. I think that they haven't completely gotten through all those languages.
Okay.
But they will.
All right.
Yeah.
Any tips for the best way to communicate with HubSpot's AI? I've noticed sometimes I feel like I get better results when I just talk to it casually versus if I try to talk to ChatGPT and say, write me a prompt for HubSpot's AI for this agent I'm creating. So any general...
For Breeze Assistant, you were asking?
Or for agents.
Oh, yeah, that too, yeah. Here's the thing, I think, and perhaps for those of you that are familiar or have been using AI for a couple of years now, it is iterative. I think that you're going to have to test it and start to train different language in different ways to see what works best. And I think that ultimately what you want to have when you get to that point is a prompt library. So I pulled up for Breeze Assistant some of the things you can think about when you're doing those prompts. That's what you want to have, but individualized to your company. Things that are important for your ICPs, important to understanding BANT, MEDPIC, any of those sorts of things that you're using when you're trying to do discovery.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hello, hi, thank you. The prospecting agent, now in terms of it sending emails, are we still relying on workflow sequences? How will it actually work in practice?
Yes, so I don't know if, is your question how to use it with workflows or with sequences?
Well, currently we have kind of chase emails that work with workflows, also sequences, both. So with the agent, what would be relying on in this case?
Okay. And if I don't answer this question correctly, keep pestering me. So I think one of the ways I like to think about it too is that sequences is sort of going to be like a twofold thing now at this point in my experience. You'll have sort of what the prospecting agent was doing before is now our current version of sequences. It's rigid, but we can define the spaces of when we actually are emailing contacts in that space. The prospecting agent has since evolved in a way that it is more reactive to how customers are responding to their website or to the data that might be new for them. Again, leadership changes on their website. It's just doing constant research is the difference. So I think when you think about sequences and how we'll probably start thinking about them for the next few years, is that those two tools will be kind of like this one version where it's here's a rigid version and here is an adaptive version. And I think that's what we'll start to see between sequences and the prospecting agent. Does that help answer a little bit?
Actually, I think it was more about how will it actually look like. So the agent would compose an email. Let's say we've told it when it should fire that email out.
Yes.
Checking. So would that then be built into a sequence? Do we need to build that sequence? Or does it just send it out through like a shared inbox contact type of thing?
Yeah, it sends it to the contact that you enrolled. But it's basically doing it personalized every single time. Yeah, so the difference is with a sequence, you're using a templated email. The prospecting agent is creating a brand new email every single time based on its research. There we go, I got it. Right over here.
Hi, do you have any hints and tips around the smaller businesses where it's a struggle to get the actual information researching-wise, which we find a struggle with humans?
Yeah, it's funny, this came up a little bit earlier today too when we were talking about email addresses that have domains that might be a Hotmail or a Gmail, things like that too. A lot of it will be in that research, I think, and identifying the other associations that we can make for that contact or company. So we're going to need more data before we can actually fill it out further. So I would say that the best thing that you can probably do for yourself is create an AI research or data agent of some kind to do some of that research so that you don't have to be the one to do it. Make sure that data is clean, validate it against your own individual research or against the records that you have in your CRM, and then build a workflow, I would say, or build it into the prospecting agent too. I've seen really remarkable things that people have been doing with like creating a lead score, and they'll say, great, if this lead score exceeds 80, enroll them into the prospecting agent. And now you've done 0, but you have amazing ICP leads coming right through your funnel, and then they're ready for sales the moment because they've already been curated through the whole experience. So I think it's really important that you have the clean data as much as possible and find an AI to do some of that research for you.
Hello. So it would be great if AI takes the notes while we are having meeting with the customers. However, I find that AI notes are kind of a supplementary resource to, you still need your own personal notes, because at the company I work, we have a lot of heavy terminology related to pharma, and that's where most of the time AI get it wrong. So am I doing something wrong, or is there something that needs to still develop?
In this example that you have, are you also recording those calls? Like, does the transcript match the notes? It sounds like perhaps no.
So two ways. Not always. It doesn't always match the transcript. But also, when it still matches the transcript, I think it is quite complicated. The notes, that still AI doesn't get it very right. And I had to listen to the whole recording again to be able to take my own notes.
Is this with the sales meeting or with a different AI tool that you're...
I've used both.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Always, it's always like that with any LLM that I've used so far.
Interesting. Yeah, I think the idea being is that it's supposed to grab those details for you. I think if you're still wary of it in the same way that you would be, that you want to review the emails that a prospecting agent is selling out, take your own notes too. Take the bullets that you know you're going to need to do, as long as it's not going to feel like diminish the relationship that you're going to have with that customer. That's what we were doing before. I think we're all probably pretty good at it at this point. It's just that what this is doing is removing more of that for us so that sales reps can have a bigger focus on those conversations. But I think that's not to say that AI won't get better or that we can't take notes also, if that's what's helpful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi. I can't see where you are. There. Hi. Thank you.
From a business development perspective, we are using LinkedIn quite heavily. So this is kind of pre-sale.
Yeah.
You should know about it. The missing link for us is the conversation starts on LinkedIn. And then a whole lot of things and information is being, swapped on LinkedIn and agreed that then is missing from HubSpot. So when I use the prospecting agent, that initial conversation when we are discussing the prospect's needs is missing.
I see.
So at the moment, it's all manual input. We do use a little tool for that, but it would be great if you guys could do that.
Yeah, it's interesting because on the one hand, you're starting manual, then going automatic to then manual rep again in a sense. I imagine we're not using LinkedIn Sales Navigator for this?
No.
Okay. So in that case, then it would have to be like logged conversations, like you could log a LinkedIn message within the record, right? But you'd be doing it manually, I think, if you want to capture all of that detailed information, especially for the prospecting agent to act on successfully. Otherwise, it has a ticket to it, but Sales Navigator would probably solve some of that for you, too. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. And then back to this side. I'll see if I can see a face. Hi, I see you right now. Hi.
You mentioned for the selling agents, it can be sort of divvied out into each product. Is there a way of doing sort of size of organization instead of product? So the size of the organization of the lead.
Oh, so you're saying your customer and you're trying to capture whether it be small business, mid-market, upmarket, enterprise.
Yeah, and they might be interested in the same product, but interested in slightly different aspects of it.
Yeah, you could do that. I think if your product or service has that wider a range for those different ICPs, but then you can tailor it within each of those markets, sure, why not?
Hi.
Hello.
Myself and a number of clients that I work with use external note takers in meetings. I use Fathom, for example.
Yes, Fathom's a great example, yes.
Yeah, and it generates an internal note on the meeting.
Yep.
I've noticed that Breeze Intelligence via a workflow can't access that data. Is that the same for the HubSpot meeting, or will that allow us to access that data from workflows?
Yeah, I'd imagine hopefully one day Fathom it will play nicer, but yes, to your point, this all is in one ecosystem, so it's allowing all that data to be accessible, yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. We have one more question, maybe two, depending on how fast we go. Thank you all again for being here. I hope this was very helpful for you. Again, if you want to talk more about these things, I'm more than happy to. I'll be downstairs and happy to.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
I'm here. Minko from ITW. I do have a question. So, sales meetings are a focus point in most product and consumer-oriented businesses, and visibility of meeting notes is quite paramount. I'm keen on understanding if there are any improvements specifically to address some of the core challenges. So these are associating meetings to objects automatically. Currently, the only object that's being associated is the contact object. Are there any plans to do that with deals, for example, or even tickets? Reporting on meetings as well, notes that line managers can see. Currently, these are only visible for the internal meeting notes. However, that's only possible when the meeting notes are logged before the meeting, not after. And then taking notes after a meeting booked with an integration like Office 365 or Teams, for example. Any plans on resolving any of the core challenges there? Thank you.
That's my time. I'm just kidding. Yeah, this is a big one. It's not the first time I've heard it. I think part of it is purely just based on the fact that meetings don't have, like, we can't access a lot of the data within those meetings yet. But that is also to say that because this is relatively new, again, like, you know, a couple months now, I do believe that we are headed in a couple different directions with meetings. One, to be able to access a lot of those things that you're talking about. And then second is also starting to define the different types of meetings that we're having. So getting a little bit more curated with things like a discovery meeting versus a deal follow-up meeting, and what we might be asking for in those conversations and how we can better prepare sales reps. So I do think that that will be coming, but it is annoying that it's not here yet, and I'm with you. Thank you for bringing it up. Thank you all. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for being, it's such an attentive audience, very engaged. I really appreciate it. Thank you.